Okay, now starting with part two, making shrimp roti. First thing is now I already have the dough balls already set up, and now I'm dusting the cutting board, and from here we're gonna roll out the dough balls, and it's basically it's roti now. It's the peas are already mixed in with the dough, and so now like I said, it's just we're gonna roll it out. And as you can see with me rolling it, I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but I was having a blowout with this one. It's basically the filling, which was the peas, is actually starting to come out the sides. So it's really weird. Like I said, if I in the previous video, if I would have like yeah, you can see it. There you go. You see it right at the bottom right hand side. What I can say about that is But yeah, if I would have ground everything perfectly, it wouldn't have been so bad, and then I would have been able to get as thin as I needed. But it is what it is, right? All right, so here's the next mistake that I know I made. The type of pan I used. It is a flat pan, but I'm not sure. I don't even know where the hell we got this pan from. I just washed it and used it, to be honest. But I probably would have been better to use a cast iron pan, which we have. I didn't think it was needed, but yeah, I should have used that instead of this. I think it would have cooked it properly, because there was some uneven cooking in it, but it still kind of came out good. I don't want to shit on it too much, because yeah, it came out, but it just the pan wasn't good at all. But cast iron pan would have been so much better. So that's the other mistake, then, because it didn't it did it did cook it, but it didn't cook it even enough, and it took a little bit longer to cook it than it should have. And again, that's also because it wasn't thin enough. It should have been like it just took a little bit longer to cook than usual, but it did the job. See, it looks more like a pancake than roti, and that's the thing that not making it thin enough. It wasn't as thick as a regular pancake, but yeah, it was a little too thick. And of course, you got to oil it every time, so that when you flip it over, it has a little bit of oil to help cook it. Now you now you see, the little charred pieces. I think I needed a little bit more. I wanted a little bit more of those charred pieces, and yeah, I guess like I said, it is what it is. All right. So the next step is the actual filling for the roti. So as you can see here, I have some onions chopped up. And I also have the other ingredients that go along with that. There's the shrimp. It's already seasoned. I have some garam masala. I have some just regular curry seasoning. And then those are garbanzo beans. Now, I'm also going to mix that with potatoes. Now, I didn't show the potatoes cut up, but they're right now as we're speaking, as you see, it's actually behind me on the stove. This is the curry powder. It's actually behind me on the stove cooking. So yeah, this is the curry powder I used, and I like it. This is where the spice did come in that I wasn't too much of a fan of, but it wasn't that unbearable because again, I didn't use Scotch bonnet. And also here's the masala. That's also something I use when I'm making curry. Garam masala. I don't say garam masala, but it's garam masala, as you can see, obviously. So, what I'm going to do now with this is I'm going to start off by cooking the shrimp. Well, let me see. Yeah, see, there are the potatoes. Like I said, they were behind me cooking. I had chopped them all up and made little small pieces. Now, it's one of the main ingredients in the filling of roti is going to be the potato. I don't remember ever them using just solely like garbanzo beans or anything like that, but I do faintly remember them using, or really remember them using the potatoes. And that's the roti already done. I already tried a piece. You can see the little half piece on top. And like I said, if it was a little bit thinner, I would be able to fold it, and it needed to be thin like paper. And these are more, like I said, more like pancakes, but or just regular flat bread, not the actual roti bread. So I actually just treated it like a flat bread. It's still, it had the taste. That was the one thing above all else. It had the taste. It tasted like roti. Now I'm sauteing onions, and not 100% sure if that's in traditional roti, but I just love Love using onions. I didn't like onions when I was younger, but as I got older, I started loving onions, and I use it in everything. I have my own sort of they have like where a lot of cooks use like different different sort of bases for every meal. For me, it's garlic, onion, and green pepper or red pepper, but bell pepper, regardless of the color. Okay, so now we sauteed the onions. Now it's time to add in the seasonings. I wanted to besides them being on the actual shrimp themselves, you always got to put it in the pan first. And I like to put the seasonings in the pan with the onions and a little bit of oil and just sort of cook it up a little bit just to bring out the flavors more. I'm not sure if that's traditional as well, but I don't know. I just always have done it that way. Well, actually, I used to do it lazy way actually, but when I'm really trying to make it as authentic as possible and really trying to make it as good as possible, I will then go in and, like I said, I'll cook it ahead of time, or make sure before I put in the protein and the in this case shrimp, before I put in that, I want to make sure it sort of the flavors are brought out basically. and you can see it's all as I'm cooking the onions with the seasonings. You can see that it's getting dark brown, and then now I add in the shrimp, and then of course it's going to bring a little bit of the shrimp flavor as well as all the seasonings. Now, as we mix everything, of course, cooking the shrimp, all the flavors are now getting integrated. And then we just boil, basically just we just boil it. We put a little bit of water, and then sort of let it simmer until it reduces. And once it reduces, it's going to be, you know, of course, here they throw in the garbanzo beans as well. I didn't put them in at first because I didn't want them to sort of disintegrate. The thing is, the potatoes themselves are already going to sort of, even though they're big chunks, obviously when you put it in sort of like this is sort of like a stew, basically. When you put it in one of those, what ends up happening is that potato is going to like reduce in size. It's going to sort of break up. As you see me stirring, it's going to break up into smaller pieces, and it basically becomes sort of like almost like a potato curry, really. Yeah, as you see, it's reducing, and all the flavors are integrated in now, and it just totally works. All right, so it's totally reduced down. You don't want to cook it too much more past that because then it'll end up burning, and it's at the right spot. So now it's to assemble. Now, like I kept sort of harping on in the whole video, is that the roti isn't big, isn't thin enough. And usually when with roti, what you do is you make a pita, basically not a pita, but it's like basically a Caribbean burrito. It's basically like a Caribbean burrito. So you usually just fold it in and wrap it up. In this case, all I could do, in one, I just put it in and folded it over, and the other one is just I popped it on the plate and put the bread on the side. And like I said, the main thing was the experience of making it. Now I have a better way that I can do it. I already have it in my head that next time I make it, I'll be able to streamline it. It won't take as many hours. And of course, I may not necessarily film it again, or if I do, it'll probably be like if I cooking for somebody or something like that, making a video cooking for somebody, and I would definitely love to do that. Yeah. So if I ever make it again, I can definitely streamline it. It's not going to be an issue. It won't be no 7-8 hours and shit to fucking make it.